Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Grace and Growth Podcast, where we share inspirations, ideas, and personal stories to hopefully make your life a little bit better. I'm Ken Sines, and as always, I'm joined by my host and friend, Kim Carroll.
Hey, friends. Thank you, Mr. Ken.
I didn't want to have to prompt you to say hello, Kim. And we are joined today by Monica Sample. Monica, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks.
Monica is a global real estate advisor and the team leader of the Monica Sample Group, which is very impressive sounding. We're going to find out what all that means. But we're so happy you could join us here today. How's everything going?
Good. Everything's going well. Thank you.
Awesome. So what we normally do, I don't know if you've had a chance to listen before, but we do everyone's favorite thing. We do a little icebreaker here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 truths and a lie. And then once we do that, you and Kim will get to collaborate on that. I'm going to give you 3 different statements, and you guys get to pick which one you think I'm full of it on. And then once we do that, and we've broken that ice, then we can dive right in. So does that sound good?
Sounds
Sure.
good to me.
All right. Quick question. Ladies, are either of you baseball fans?
Oh, boy.
All right, then. We're going to have us some fun. Since
I know enough to be dangerous.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, since the weather's starting to turn, it's starting to get we've made it through the trudge of winter, and we're finally starting to get to the good weather. Nothing says that like America's pastime, baseball. So today, our 2 truths and a lie will be about Kim and our hometown team, the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Well, and to be fair, Ken, they haven't had tremendous winning seasons. So there hasn't been a real opportunity to go, oh, yeah, I really have to follow baseball. So
I became a Pirates fan in 1982, and they've had 4 winning seasons in my entire life. So I'm sorry, six winning seasons.
So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
So here's the great thing. Very few of these will are going to be questions about things that occurred since the Pirates started to really not be the model of Major League Baseball excellence.
Okay.
So are we ready?
I'm ready.
All right. First, the Pittsburgh Pirates were actually known as the Pittsburgh Alleghenies originally. They were known as the Alleghenies until 1891, when they were accused by the Philadelphia Athletics of stealing a player. And the Athletics called them Pirates for pirating the player, and the name stuck.
Okay.
Number 2, in 2004, former Pittsburgh Pirate Barry Bonds reached base more times than he officially came to bat.
Interesting. Okay.
Or the most valuable baseball card of all time is the 1909 T206 Fred Clark card. Fred Clark is a Hall of Fame player and manager for the Pirates. And his T206 baseball card is the most valuable baseball card of all time. So here we go. Was it that the Pirates got their name by stealing a player from the Philadelphia Athletics in 1891? That in 2004, former Pirate Barry Bonds got on base more times than he officially came to bat? Or that Pirate manager and player Fred Clark is featured on the most valuable baseball card of all time, the 1909 T206?
Okay. So I have to say, I was married to a baseball fanatic. So I feel like I have a little inkling in maybe the right direction as far as this question is concerned. So I'm going to ask Monica, what's your inclination first? And then I'll share mine.
I have no sports fans in my family, so I'm leaving it in your hands. The first one seems a little outlandish. The second 2 seems a little bit more feasible.
Okay. See, do you think that the Pirates were originally called the Alleghenies? If I
there you go.
All history. Now, I don't know about the dates or if that story is accurate, but I feel like the Allegheny name was original.
I'm going to give you guys a little hint since you're not baseball fans. I didn't mess with any of the date stuff.
Okay.
None of the date. So it's not like Barry Bonds really did that in 2005 and I'm messing with you that way or anything. I wouldn't do that because even I used to be a huge baseball nerd, and even I couldn't remember exact dates like that.
Okay. That's fair. Thank you. So I personally am going to go with the last one because I know that Barry Bonds was a very big player and very well known. And I know he was a home run hitter, and likely a lot of pitchers may have thrown balls so that he was just automatically walked versus having the opportunity to hit. So I don't think it's him. And I think that the Allegheny name was the original name. So I'm going to go with that as a yes, that's the truth. So by default, I'm going to go with number 3 as the lie.
Monica, do you have any thoughts, or will you just blindly follow Kim into the cannons?
Like I said, I grew up in a non-sports household, so I will go with Kim's inkling, her knowledge from just association.
All right. Well, somewhere
we're not
I'm sure
burning in flames if we don't get this right. So.
somewhere I'm sure any big baseball fans are jumping out of their seats to applaud you too, because you, as has been our trend on this show, you both got it right.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Kim, I found the reasoning that you went through, while it was both grating on me as a baseball fan, it was incredibly adorable as your friend, because it was actually incredibly sound logic that you went with.
Okay, well, good.
So in 2004, Barry Bonds reached base 376 times. He was walked 232 times, which is a record for baseball, and intentionally walked another 120 times, also a record. In baseball, if you are walked, it does not count as an official plate appearance. So you can actually, that they have a thing called on base percentage, and it can go higher if you get walked because it doesn't count as being up. You just get on base. He came to bat officially 373 times, but he got on base 376 times.
Interesting.
It is, to me, the most incredible statistic in baseball history. And
wild.
the other one I thought that was a pretty easy one. The Pittsburgh Pirates originally were the Alleghenies, and in 1891, the Philadelphia Athletics accused them of stealing second baseman Louis Bieber. And back then they didn't call them any of the things we'd call people nowadays on social media that'd be much horrible. They were just called Pirates. So they are the Pittsburgh Pirates and not the Pittsburgh filthy cheating scumbags or whatever they would get called nowadays. And the one you did get right is the lie was that Fred Clark, who is actually a former Pirates manager and player, he was a player manager, so he was managing the team while he was still playing for them. He is in the Hall of Fame, and he was on the 1909 Pirates team that won the World Series. However, the most valuable baseball card of all time is the 1909 T206 Honus Wagner, who is one of the greatest players in Pirates history. He was a part of the original Hall of Fame class, and he was one of the best players of the era. He actually told the company that he wanted his card pulled from production. The rumor has always been that he wanted it pulled from production because he was very against smoking and tobacco, and he didn't want kids buying tobacco products to try to get his baseball card. That's generally considered not to be true because he had actually done advertisements for smoking and tobacco products before. It's generally believed that he wasn't getting the type of money that he thought he should. But because they pulled his card, only a few of them got out. There's considered to be, I think, less than 100 of them in the world. And they routinely sell at auction for the tens of millions of dollars in good condition.
Wow.
So
yeah, now I have a question.
Sure.
Is there a statue of Honus Wagner down at PNC Park?
There is. It stands, the statue of Honus Wagner stands right at the home plate entrance. And I actually have a picture of it with me in a tuxedo from our wedding pictures. Because we took wedding pictures on the north side, and I wanted to walk over to the stadium and get a picture.
Very
cool. Awesome. That's great.
Yeah. Honus Wagner is one of the great players in baseball history. He's considered like a real good gentleman. And one of my favorite stories about him, and then we'll move on to Monica's story, which is way more important than the Honus Wagner story to us. But when they played the Detroit Lions, Ty Cobb, who you've probably heard of, everyone's heard of Ty Cobb in the World Series. Ty Cobb was known for sliding into second base with his feet up to try to jam his spikes into other people's legs.
Oh, wow.
called spiking people. He tried to do that to Honus Wagner, who stepped over his spike and proceeded to tag him in the face with his ball in the glove
Wow.
and bloody his nose. And at that point, they never had a problem again because Ty Cobb realized Honus Wagner wasn't anybody to mess with. So,
That's pretty good.
talked a lot about baseball, the national pastime, but really anymore, the national pastime is trying to make and keep some of your money, right, Kim?
Absolutely.
So I didn't have as great of a segue this time from baseball, but we have a few words from our sponsor here. And as soon as we're done with that, we're going to find out all about Monica.
Are you ready to step into the spotlight and take the lead of your financial future? It's me, your host, Kim Carroll, and I really hope you've enjoyed listening and are inspired by the stories you hear on my Grit, Grace, Growth podcast. Your stories inspire me every day. If you feel like you've really gotten to know me and you want to find out more and how we can work together, I specialize in guiding individuals, businesses, and families towards their financial goals with personalized advice and holistic strategies. Whether you're planning for retirement, looking to grow your investments, or simply want a clearer roadmap for your financial journey, I'm here to help you every step of the way. Don't wait. Visit www.kimcarrollcrc.com now to learn more and easily schedule a meeting. That's www.kimcarroll.crc.com in order to learn more. Kimberly Carroll offers securities using the following business name: Emeritus Investment Company, LLC, or AIC, member FINRA and SIPC. AIC is not affiliated with Grit, Grace, Growth podcast.
All right. So Monica, thank you again for joining us today. I take it you've never been intentionally walked, you've never stolen a player from the Philadelphia Athletics, and you've never been on a baseball card. So everything we've talked about so far really hasn't been applicable to this.
No, but I was on the national championship team for softball in my 7th grade year.
So you have probably been intentionally walked in your life. Did that happen?
Oh gosh, I was in 6th or 7th grade.
Okay, that's awesome. How
Yeah.
were you on the team, or did you like softball? Were you a good player?
I was on the team.
Okay.
My dad was one of the coaches, and we were from a very, very small town out west, and we won, and we ended up going to somewhere in Montana to play the nationals, and just won 2 other games and became national champions. I have a big trophy.
Wow. And you've been to Montana too. So from 7th grade national champion to leading your own group and being a global financial advisor. Why don't you give us some of the highlights of that story and that journey?
And I just want to introduce her, and I feel like I didn't have a good intro there at the beginning. I'm going to butt in and share.
So Kim's going to cut me off, and she's going to give you a proper intro, and then we can get around to answering questions and hearing life stories.
Yeah. So Monica is such a dear friend of mine. She and I have been friends since high school. And she came to us from the state of Washington. And in knowing her for 30 plus years, I have learned so much about her and her journey and the adversity that she's gone through, and things that you learn something about someone 30 years later, and you had no idea that they've gone through some of the things that they have. And just to watch her as she has grown and to see how she's overcome adversity, how she has been resilient, how her story has shaped her is just so inspirational. And I'm so excited to share her with you today and to have her tell her story and what she's been through in her life. So with that, I am going to turn it over to her and ask her to share how she can go as far back as she would like to start the story and tell us what she's been through. But I just think that there's such an impact on what she's going to share today.
All right, Monica, that was quite the buildup. So no pressure on you.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh, where do you want me to start? So
let's start now. Let's start and we'll move back.
Sure.
Tell us what it is you do and how you got into it, and a little bit of that.
Okay. So I am a realtor. We at Pyatt Sotheby's International Realty label ourselves as global real estate advisors because not just being an agent, but we advise in anything and everything in real estate on a global level because the company is worldwide. So we can, team with other agents or advisors in Dubai or Tokyo or France or whatever we need to do to help our clients buy their second home, buy their flat in Paris, or buy their second home in Florida or whatever. So that's where the global real estate advisor label comes from. And yes, I do have a team. I am a team lead. I've been in real estate I've been an agent for 10 years. I've been in the real estate industry for 20 years as an investor and helping my parents with their company. And then probably right before COVID, I got an assistant and then started a team. Yeah, about 2020, and never looked back. I like the team aspect other than just being a single agent, get lots of help and better for marketing and more boots on the ground. So that's what I'm doing now.
And how did you, I don't want to speak for you, but I don't know that a ton of children say what I want to do when I grow up is be a real estate agent. How did you end up in this field?
How did I fall into it?
That's whether it was a fall, a leap, whatever got you here.
Well, if I guess what got me here was probably different influences throughout my life. Being from Washington State and moving here when I was 15, my parents, I have a very young mom. She was 17 when she had me, and then she married my stepdad, who was younger than her. So he's 14 years older than me. So I basically grew up with my parents, right? And their first house in Washington, very small, they bought it and they did all the work themselves and sold it 3 years later before we moved here to Pittsburgh back in '89 and made a huge profit. So that was the start of okay, we moved here to Pittsburgh and the houses were so inexpensive compared to Washington State. So they got the idea that they needed to diversify and buy property and stuff like that. Plus, we loved the architecture. My mom and I, we don't have that back in Washington. We don't have the beautiful historic homes, especially moving to the Swickley area. We would just drive around for hours and just look at the houses in the streets and the brick homes and stuff like that. I fell in love with the area immediately. So that kind of started it. Now, did I go into it right away? No. I finished high school in '93 and moved back out west and led a completely different life before I came back here and decided to kind of get into real estate.
What did that look like for you, Monica? I know you and I have talked and you've shared stories about when you moved back to Washington.
Sure.
Where you were in your life and what that looked like and how you got out of it.
Sure.
Really an important story.
From a very young age, I've always loved to have fun and probably too much fun. After high school, I moved back out west, got back into the influences, the relationships that I was in before I moved out here. Wrong crowd, basically. But I did start college, dropped out, got pregnant with my daughter, started cosmetology school and absolutely loved it. Became a hairstylist, became a really good hairstylist. I did education for a color company. I managed a salon of 14, but I also partied a lot and started using drugs. And from about 2002 to 2005, beginning of 2005, I became an addict, pretty hardcore addict, to the point where I basically just blew up my life, partied too much, lost my job. So I walked away from Washington in 2005 with a duffel bag of the rest of my belongings and my daughter. So I hopped on that plane and came back here. My parents, my mom, through my addiction, said, whenever you're ready, you can come back here anytime. No questions asked. I'll buy you a ticket immediately. Her take on I'm an only child, right? So her take is having a child that's an addict is like watching your toddler play in the freeway behind a glass wall. There's nothing you can do about it. So, but I did get out and I did get clean in 2005. And I don't tell that story very often. A lot of some addicts, agents or whatever, use their addiction as part of their MO, their life story, which is great. More power to them. It was a short stint of my life. It was bad, but it was such a short stint in my life that I don't really think that it was such a pillar that I have to use it for marketing or whatever.
Right.
But my takeaway of that is whenever I'm faced with anything now is, listen, you have no idea. If I can walk away from that with a duffel bag and my daughter, I can pretty much do anything.
Yeah.
Be humbled to have nothing.
What was the catalyst that made you make the decision that you were going to walk away from that?
A very, very good friend of mine, Jesse Postwaite, he used with me. Then he went to prison and he got back out and he was clean. This was probably 6 months before I made the decision to get clean. He sought me out, pulled me out of a drug house, took me to the coast, because we live right on the coast, right? So it took me to a lookout and just talked to me for an hour. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you are not this type of person. The people that you're sitting with on that couch, and you are just not, this is not the life that you need to lead. So it basically woke me up. I called my mom not too long after that. And it's like, okay, I'm ready to come home.
As you're sitting in the airport with, in your own words, just your child and your duffel bag, what's going through your head at that point?
Well, I probably more when I got to Pittsburgh, because I was higher than a kite at the airport.
Fair enough.
To be honest. And I still think about that to this day. It's like I did drugs in the airport bathroom before I got on the plane. This was my last stint. And it was when I got here and reflected on it. And I had a hard time because I had everything I needed here. My parents were like, here's a cell phone, here's a car, you can work for us, you can help us manage our business, whatever you need. I didn't have the felonies that my good friends back home had gotten. I didn't have my daughter taken away from me. I had friends that were homeless, 4 felonies, kids taken away, and they're trying to climb out of this gutter on their own with no support. So it was really difficult to watch back here in my cushy home. I do have that guilt a little bit, but other than that, it was definitely one of the hardest things I've gone through.
Well, that's such a testament to your parents. That
Oh,
they were
yeah.
able to offer that support to you.
Yeah.
And to be able to give you that, because not everybody has that opportunity or that choice.
No, and I think it helped that I didn't burn any bridges with my family like a lot of addicts do.
Yeah.
Not that I was probably close to that. I just got out before that happened. I got out before I lost my daughter. I got out before I got a felony, because they were bound to happen.
Right.
But yeah, it definitely is a testimony to my parents there was definitely counseling involved. And as soon as I got back here, I sought counseling with my daughter to make sure that she was good, because I drug her through it. She saw things she shouldn't have seen.
Yeah. How old was she when you came back?
She was 9. She
Okay.
was 9. So from about 6 to 9 was, thank God I had family out west too. My grandparents were, they've recently passed, but they helped a lot with Alyssa. Alyssa stayed out there quite a bit while I was out running around and stuff. But yeah, they helped quite a bit. But yeah, the counseling and just getting back to being a good mom, because I was always a good mom up until I started using and stuff. But getting back to just doting on her and whatever she needed. Quaker Valley cheerleader. She was always into something. So
Yeah.
just giving her the best life that she deserved.
Did you, when you got back to Pittsburgh, did you ever use again, or you just hung it up and that was it?
No, I hung it up, definitely. Okay. I went to NA a couple times and I felt like it wasn't the right route for me. Like it was short stint, and it wasn't like I did it from a very young age. Yeah, I was a pot smoker during my 20s and stuff and made poor choices and stuff. But the choice of getting clean, there were so many other choices in that as well. Like one of the choices I made was I'm going to go a year and just work on myself and not date anybody or anything like that. So I did that as well, because it wasn't just the drug. It was me and my brain and my mindset and stuff like that I needed to work on too. So
I've known several people that I've been close with who struggle with addiction, and the kind of unifying theme is it's never that the choice to get clean is the easy one. It's every choice you make after that.
Exactly.
Down that path.
Exactly. Yeah, I could go. The saying is, you sit at a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. I could go.
I won't, but other people.
With the addicts if I wanted to, and that wasn't one of the rules I had when I moved back here. Is that I knew my friends were struggling back home, and when I would go out and visit family and stuff, I wanted to see them. But my rule was, if you haven't been clean for 6 months, I can't see you.
A good boundary that you
yeah definitely a good boundary. In fact, I lost a good friend 2 years ago, Roger, who was using, and I had been back there for quite a while taking care of my grandma, and my friend Jesse, who Jesse Postaway, I'm still very close to him. I asked him how Roger was doing. He goes, he's using again, and I'm frustrated with him. And I'm just like, oh, I said, well, hopefully maybe next time I come out, he'll be clean. And he tragically died. Actually, he lived on a busy road, and his cat ran out in the middle of the road and got killed. And he went out to save the cat and got ran over. He got hit by a car. Yeah, crazy. It wasn't even the drugs that killed him, but yeah. Definitely, you have those regrets where it's like, God, I could at least hugged him one last time or something like that. But that was my rule. It's like, I'm not going to break it.
Yeah.
But it does get better. It does become easier, right?
Oh gosh.
Every day becomes a little bit easier. I'm struck by what you said before about that flight home.
Yeah.
In that moment in the bathroom in the airport, that seems like the easiest time to say, you know what? I'm not actually going to do this.
Oh no, I was still, my addict mindset didn't change until my feet hit Pennsylvania land.
What was it that got you out of that bathroom and onto the airplane?
My daughter.
Okay.
Absolutely. My daughter, my parents. And I knew that I had to do something. The only other choices I had were I was going to commit a felony eventually. I was going to burn bridges with my family that I didn't want to do. I didn't have a job. Where was I going to go? And it wasn't like a last resort thing. It was, I'm better than this. I'm more intelligent than this. And I'm not saying I'm better than those people, because an addict is an addict. There's no social boundaries in that. But I am better than that lifestyle.
So you make that difficult decision. You get on that airplane.
Yeah.
You start getting down the path you need to go.
And
I love the admirable recognition of needing to make a change. I think that's
sure. Yeah. And I think Jesse every time I see him. But yeah, it was definitely ultimately my choice. And being a mom and loving my daughter and wanting to make sure that she had a better life was ultimately the biggest decision. You know what I mean? That was the influence, everything. So yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And yeah, that ultimate feet on PA ground, coming down from being high on the airplane and sleeping for 2 weeks. Really, that was it. And just diving into being a mom again and working on myself and going to church and hanging out with the parents and hanging out with my old friends and stuff like that.
And it is a lifetime struggle, and it's a lifetime fight that you'll have. But I know some people will get to a point where you don't think about it. It's like grade school. It's that's something you think about unless somebody brings up. And then some people will have the daily struggle.
Sure.
Has it been, you said it was, it's not a major, you don't have that as like a major foundational piece of your life and who you consider yourself to be.
Correct.
Right. It's not, did you have times though during your initial recovery period where it was rough, where you were able to, once you embraced the change, it was?
Yeah, that was good.
It is one thing I love about Monica. She is a very strong person that has just a strong foundation as far as.
And that's another reason why I didn't want to go to NA, because I didn't want to tell my story like that. I didn't want to say, I just made the decision, I was done, and I didn't want, because I didn't want people to have false hope in that. because that's not what a recovery journey should look like. And I didn't want, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just because I was able to do it, I didn't, because that addict part of your brain hears that one thing. Oh, she did it with not having to do NA. I can try that. And I didn't want that to come out as false hope for people.
And I'm glad you explained that, because that was my question, because everyone's recovery path is a different one.
Absolutely.
And, we talk about giving grace to yourself. You said you had an easier path because of the support systems you still had in place and that, but it's still an incredibly hard decision. And I think people need to know that what everyone needs for recovery is different. What everyone needs to stay on the path is different. Yeah. And that everyone's journey is their own journey.
Yeah. My biggest struggles when I got clean and started like working on myself was the guilt of the stuff that I put my daughter through and the regrets that I had of the choices that I made. And then to ease myself through that and give myself grace it could have been a lot worse. Because I always had to like be grateful that I didn't end up in prison, that I didn't have to struggle getting my daughter back out of foster care.
Yeah. So obviously we're missing 20 years of the story here. So between 2005, when you came back from Washington to present day,
sure. Yeah.
I would love to hear about your journey, because I also know that hasn't always been easy either.
No.
I want to hear a little bit about what that has looked like for you as well.
Sure. Yeah. When I got back and started working on myself, my parents had found a church here in Swickley that we started going to. And my daughter's always been an adamant, she still is, a very adamant Christian, self-practicing. Like she brought her Bible to school and never had a problem with being a Christian martyr. It's just like, she doesn't care. That's just how she is. So, and I knew that she needed that. So we started going to church and everything. Well, my now husband was my daughter's Sunday school teacher. So that's how we met. And my parents both were former US Airway employees. And after 9/11, my he was a jet engine mechanic. His job was outsourced to Philadelphia and he didn't want to commute to Philly. So he took his buyout or whatever and started just doing light construction and mowing lawns in Swickley. And then my mom's job was outsourced to El Salvador in 2004. So she took a buyout. So they started this design construction company and they started buying properties and fixing them up. And so they have several rentals and have flipped houses and stuff. And that's how I got into that part of it. So from 2005 to 2014, I have assisted in my parents with the success of their company and stuff. They retired early. They retired in their 50s. Yeah. And they basically live off their investments and their rentals. And so I was really inspired and I learned a lot. So right now I own a construction design company as well. And my husband is a contractor and has been for over 30 years, 36 years, I think. So we've done some full renovations, full flips, basements, bathrooms, kitchens, whatever. And I wouldn't have known how to, start from the ground and design work and stuff without my mom. So they learned all this stuff from scratch. They had just a library. This is before Google. My dad had every woodworking book and contractors for dummies and stuff like that. And they learned through that. So
Monica, getting to hear your story a little more, I actually have to call you out a little bit on something you said.
Yeah.
Because when I asked how you got into this, you said, well, how did I fall into this? If you clearly didn't fall into this. You've worked your way into this.
I did.
Fall into it makes it sound like you rounded a corner and somebody handed you a job. You put the time and the effort in.
If you would have told the 23-year-old rock star hairstylist that I was going to become a real estate agent, I would have laughed at you. So I had a completely different path in my mind when I was in my 20s and 30s. But yes, you are correct. I didn't really fall into it. I did have a passion for it. And my mom and I were actually going to become agents together in like 2007. And we were good friends with a very successful agent here in Swickley who we went and sat with and talked with. And she actually said that you would make good agents, but it's not the right time. And it was right before the housing market.
Right.
Right. So she was being completely honest, and I'm glad she was truthful with us on that. And so we paused that, which is fine. I still worked for my parents. And then 2009, I became pregnant, and my husband and I got engaged, and we found out that our baby was going to have a pretty big birth defect. It's called an omphalocele, where your intestines are born outside of your body. And we had done all the research and knew going in that it was going to be a long journey, long road. Scarlet was born in, actually her birthday is coming up. She'd be 16. She was born March 22nd, 2010. She was born cesarean. I was at McGee. She went straight to Children's Hospital, and she struggled. I didn't get to hold her. She lived for 18 days and then she passed. And that was pretty hard for Matt and I. We struggle with it, with what could have been. You grieve for people that you've lost, for the memories, right? We didn't get those memories. So we struggle with, she's going to be 6. She would be 16 this year, right? So we struggle with, God, she'd be almost driving, stuff like that.
Right.
And one of my best friends, Janine Cologne, she was pregnant at the same time as I. So Janine and I talked a lot about her struggles with the guilt of raising Olivia, who was turning 16 as well, because we had our baby showers together. And we've talked about it. And I said, please don't feel guilty. You can't live your life feeling guilty. But that was a very surreal time. The grief was insurmountable. It was sometimes unbearable. We got through it. We got through it with our faith and our families, and with knowing going in that there were risks, so it wasn't, we don't like fall to our knees and be like, why God, why? It's more of, that's what God wanted. So that is definitely something that I don't wish upon my worst enemy.
I wouldn't either. And I feel your pain. I can empathize with you, but I haven't experienced loss quite like that. And my sincerest sympathies that you've gone through that. And I also know that your kids have also gone through that as well.
Yes, our daughter, my stepdaughter Madison, Ruth would be 3 this coming year. She passed away at a very similar age as Scarlet. She, I think, was close to 18 days old and passed away of SIDS in a very traumatizing way. And it was Madison and Ben that found her passed. And Madison has to be one of the strongest women. She now has baby Zechariah, who is a little over a year. She's an amazing, both my girls are amazing mothers. And she's pregnant with her second. And very, very faithful. That's gotten her through that as well. It's hard for her and I to look each other in the eye because we know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole thing brought up a lot of PTSD for Matt and I.
Sure.
Being at the funeral, PTSD, the viewing and everything. It's like, oh God, nobody should have to bury 1 but 2 babies in their life.
Yeah.
Where do you find that inner well of strength to be able to deal with these setbacks, to be able to deal with these not bumps in the road, these Pittsburgh-sized potholes in the road sometimes?
Because I know that perseverance is a reality, and that you can basically just get up and do anything you want to do if you choose to. Do I have days that it's like, oh God, I don't want to deal with anybody today, especially around her birthday or the day that she passed? Because I get the text messages, I get the Facebook messages, thinking of you today. It's like, do I want to be reminded of it? Yeah, I'm going to be reminded of it. But at the same time, it's hard to, thank God it's like just 2 days a year that it's really bad. But the perseverance is, my life is beautiful. My life is blessed. My grandbabies are my why, and my life could be so much worse. So I think it's the, being grateful and really knowing that my life is beautiful, and that, yes, I've had these things happen to me, but they're chapters in my life.
I love that you're so successful and so driven by motivation
Yeah.
to build that success. Now, I don't know if you look at yourself successfully, but I look at you and I think this woman is at the top of her game. She's crushing it in her industry. She's doing an amazing job. And I think there's some testament to that, to you, for what you have been able to overcome and have created
Sure.
from adversity. It's
Sure. I go into that and I hear that and I see the reality of that, but I also have imposter syndrome with it sometimes. It's like, God, I am a snot-nosed kid that was born and raised on a farm, that I'm a quarter redneck on my mom's side. I'm like redneck. So when I hear that, I'm like, yeah, is that really me? But it is. So sometimes that imposter syndrome creeps in a little bit.
as it does for all of us.
I'm still my goofy self, that my car's trashed inside, that I drink way too much Starbucks. My husband saw my Starbucks bill, he'd probably kill me. But yeah, so yeah, I'm still the goofy Monica too.
I think one thing you said really does, the appreciation that you have for the good times and for what you do have
Oh yeah.
really helps. It really helps fortify you against the bad times.
Sure. 100%.
So let's talk about some of those good times though, because this isn't one of those podcasts where we're trying to get you on here and hoping to make you cry or anything, but
we can move on.
We've talked about the journey, and obviously the journey is never ending, but
Sure.
let's talk about where you are on the path right now and what it means to be again, I just love the title of global real estate advisor. So tell us a little bit about that, what you do and how that makes you feel.
Sure. So we'll do two different sides. We'll do professional side and personal side, because I've had a few accolades in both.
Okay.
So professionally, I'm part of the leadership council for our brokerage. We meet 4 times a year and really look at the success of Pyatt Sotheby's and how to enhance it and lift it a little bit and lead my office. So I'm in the Swickley office. There's 7 offices and I love that role. I like really organizing, and we have weekly meetings at our office, and we're very community oriented and collaborative and supportive of each other. I'm not quite sure how many agents we have in our office, but we all get along very well. And then as a team lead, I'm also a mentor, and that's one thing that I absolutely love to do. And I think that gives me a lot of inspiration in my industry. I've mentored 4 agents from the ground up, meaning like right when they got their license. And just to see them successful now and see what they're doing, I feel like a proud mama. It's like, oh, they're doing so well. I feel like I'm a part of that. So I love doing that, and just creating the research in the industry, creating the systems that make my team successful and stuff like that is very rewarding.
That's great.
Well, Monica, I feel like this is meant to be a compliment, so take it that way. I feel like you're a little bit of an onion that we could continue peeling you all day long and not quite.
There's so much, Ken. You have no idea.
Where do you go from here? So what's the next step on the journey?
Yeah, I'm going to continue to love on all my grandbabies. I have 5 and 1 on the way. We try and get them as much as possible. Taking trips to Europe twice this year. I'll be in Denmark for my exchange student Sabina from high school. She turns 50, so she's having a big masquerade ball in Denmark. So I'll be there in May.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you'd be attending the masquerade ball in Denmark this year.
I know. I'm very excited about that. I've been on a health journey. I have, for the last 4 or 5 years, I've suffered from severe anemia, and I didn't know I was suffering from severe anemia. And I just basically chalked it up to old age. I'm like, I'm just tired. I'm just weak. I'm just making not poor decisions physically for my health. And then I turned 50 last year and went to the doctor and got the blood work done like you're supposed to. I got a phone call that day, and the nurse said that the doctor wanted me to go get an emergency transfusion. My hemoglobin levels were at a 4 and they're supposed to be at a 12. And from there, we did a little bit more research and took care of that, had the emergency transfusion. realized that I needed to get a hysterectomy, had that done, and I'm just 100% better. 100% better. I have more energy. I've lost 60 pounds. I have a personal trainer now. Personal trainer is more, that was a gift from my mom, but it's more for, we're taking a 5-week trip to Europe in October. That was my 50th birthday present from my parents. So we're doing Lake Como and the French Riviera, and then down the coast of Italy, and then Greece for 5 weeks. So that's my big thing for this year, is surviving both of those trips.
So as you head into your, and then we'll put a pin in it for today, but as you move on into your second century, or your second half century rather, not your second century, I'm sorry, you would look phenomenal for 100. But as you move on to your second half century, you said, I don't want to be known as this one thing, and this one thing's not my story. What is the thing that you would like to be known as?
A wonderful person. I want to be known as a good friend, as a good mom, as a good grandma. I loved my grandparents. I love my parents, and my mom and I are best friends. And I hope to have those same relationships in my 50s and 60s. And I want my clients to think of me as a friend, not just somebody that they see once or twice in their life. So keeping in contact with all of them, and just being close with the people that matter, and the people who've shown me that I matter.
So being a great daughter, a great mother, great friend, great real estate agent, and a great podcast guest.
Yes, I hope so.
No, you've been wonderful. We can't thank you so much for coming in today.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I want to just make sure that we recognize this, because you were just honored with a really incredible reward through Sotheby's, right?
No, our office was.
Okay.
So, because I'm the team lead, I got to accept it. But our office, and being as small and mighty, we have 170 agents in our brokerage, and our office maybe has 13, 14 agents, and we were the top producing office.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you were chosen to present a $12,500 grant to the Hospice and Palliative Care Foundation.
Yes.
Recently. And so that was in honor of?
Yeah, so I am a Homes for Heroes agent. So that's one of my passions, one of my charity I give back to heroes. And I was chosen by the Homes for Heroes Foundation to be the Homes for Heroes agent, to be able to present that. So that's happening Tuesday. I'm excited about that.
That's right.
I got to have the interview with her over the phone, and she thought she was getting a $5,000 grant. So when the president of the Homes for Heroes Foundation said it was going to be $12,000, she started crying, and then I got teary-eyed, and it was pretty emotional. But yeah, that's one thing I'm very proud of, is my Homes for Heroes. My team's given back almost $50,000 in the last 4 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where can people find you, Monica? We want to give you the opportunity to share a website or social media.
I'm on every social media outlet, and I have my webpage is Monica Sample Real Estate, which also has my cell phone and email everywhere. They can find me at the Swickley office quite a bit, but yes, that's where they would find me.
So a good search for just Monica Sample Real Estate will probably return you. Okay.
Oh gosh, yeah.
There's not like 72 of you out there all fighting for the same name or anything. Okay, good.
If you just put in Monica, I think there's a beautiful singer that comes up. But if you put in Monica Sample, then I should come up.
Well, once again, we thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Everyone should, if you are looking to buy that villa in France or Swiss chalet, that you would be the person to talk to.
Yeah, we have a pretty big.
But anybody at all, you should definitely check out Monica. And again, thank you so much for being with us here today.
It's great.
Kim, do you have a final thought for us?
I sure do. I have our final quote of the day, and just want to thank everybody for listening. Please make sure that you like, follow, share. We are on all media channels. We are on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and Amazon Music. So if you would like to reach out to us and you're interested in speaking on our podcast, or you have questions, or you would love to connect with any of us, please reach out to us at support@gritgracegrowthpodcast.com. And I will leave you with this quote: your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start. And that is from Nito Cuban. And
Love it. Love it.
turn it back over to Ken to take us out.
All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us. Monica, again, thank you for being a wonderful guest and for sharing your story today. Kim, thanks for hosting us and getting us all together. And folks, most importantly, thank you all for joining us, spending a little bit of your day with us. I'm Ken Sines. This has been the Grit, Grace, and Growth Podcast. And just remember, we're not trying to change your life. We're just trying to make it a little bit better. We'll see you all next time.